Let me start with asking, how many people in the room are marketers? Okay, small number, few of them from the Totango group. So, and how many people in the customer success side of the house? Okay. So you know what you guys think of marketing, right? I know what you guys think of marketing, right? So I'll make it short, and I will maybe ask a few questions at the end, and we'll talk about the marketing aspect of it. And you know, I couldn't help but think when Michael was talking, he talked about the different areas of customer success and how important they are to be all together, implementation, support, etc. And I was thinking where the marketing stuff is missing, and it should be in there because really in this new world, and we heard from Guy, we heard from Ken, this whole new world is quite different, and the whole nature of a company changes in the new web. I mean, and I'll give you some examples. We're a little introduction into who we are. Acton is a young company. We got started in 2008. We're a marketing automation provider. So you may not have heard of us, but you've probably heard of some of our competitors. I think Eloqua's name was put up here earlier. Marketo. Those are the better known companies. They're much bigger than us. But we have grown very quickly, and we've got all the challenges of a young growing company. A little bit about the company. We've got 140 employees. We hired 112 people last year. So you can imagine, so many of the people are new. They're just, they're just half-life of less than a year, less than 6 months, in fact. And we're a SaaS platform. Everything is provided over the web, and literally we live on the web. So that's the nature of the company, and we're big users of technology. We try different things, and therein lies one of the reasons why we have signed up with Totango, because I said this is a unique idea. How can we use this, and how do we use this more effectively within our organization? We're also a Zendesk customer, one of the whatever 14,000 or 15,000 that Sam was talking about. But we're a big user of Zendesk also. That's where all our services and customer success team lives in. And we've got lots of small customers. We've got 1,400 plus customers. We've got some big customers, Progressive Insurance, Motorola, people like that, well-known names. And we've got a lot of names that you've probably never seen before, because we sell into the mid-market. So that's our focus. We go into that's really our area of expertise, and we go into small marketing teams. So why customer lifecycle marketing? What is this customer lifecycle marketing, and why are we doing this inside our own company? Besides the fact that we're a marketing company, so we're probably big users of various forms of marketing technology. I think there are 4 major reasons, right? One is that, like a lot of you here who are either born on the web as a subscription business or getting on the web or making that transition from product to subscription, we're a SaaS company, and it's all about subscriptions. And but there are a few other things. We sell into the mid-market, which means that we've got a lot of customers, a lot of smaller customers, and not as many as Zendesk has, but it's still a challenge to how do you effectively work with those customers and make them successful. And that's a problem that's not just a problem for the customer success department. It's a problem for the entire company, right? And that's something that we're trying to infuse in our whole company. We've done something different. We're month-to-month contracts, okay? So we often talk about the fact that when we started in this business, we started in 2008. Eloqua had been around for 8 or 9 years. Marketo had been around for 2 or 3 years. We started off and we said, we've got the last mover advantage, right? It took a little while to get funding with that statement, but it did happen. You know how venture capitalists are. If you don't have first mover advantage, you're nowhere. So we came up with this thing where we got last mover advantage, but we had to do things differently. We had to, we said, okay, you know what? You can sign up for a month-to-month contract, and that's different from, say, committing to a year or 2 years. Now, what does that do to the company? It changes the entire nature of how the company works. By the way, we try not to do trials, because anytime someone asks us for a trial, we say, why do you need a trial? every month is a trial, right? So, and it's like, why didn't you try? Just sign up. If you don't like it, get out. So, but it really drives the whole company ethos when you do this. And for us as a young company, we sort of like learned along the way. And today we're at over 1,400, probably close to 1,500 customers right now. This month-to-month contract, most customers have a month-to-month contract. There are a few who don't, because for various reasons, budgeting reasons, whatever it is, they wanted to make the commitment, they wanted to pay because there was money in the bank, in the budget, or they decided they wanted a big discount, in which case we said, well, you're going to give us for that discount. But that really changed a lot of how we look at this company and how we work with our customers. And then finally, we see the value of leverage. And I want to talk about that because I think we've talked a lot about making customers successful, and then I'll talk a little bit about how do you make them raving fans and some of the things that we're trying to do in that area. Because, and going back to some of the things that Ken talked about, the value, right? It's the value curve and the value journey that we're in. So we've seen this one, right? This is the traditional way of doing things, right? This is how we all do it. I mean, marketing automation, it's all about this, right? The front half of the funnel, right? How do you get people go through this thing, and everything stops when someone becomes a customer, and it just gets handed over. It gets handed over to the customer success team, and good luck, and then when the time comes for a renewal, and we've talked about this many times, then there's that call. It's time to renew, what are you going to do and all that. Well, that doesn't work in our business. And we're a marketing automation company. We see the funnel slightly differently, and we see the involvement of marketing as part of that entire journey, right? So if you look at this funnel, well, there's all the traditional stuff. There's the acquisition part of the funnel, which is what, what is it, 90% of the expenses spent doing that right now at most companies. But then there's the retention part, and there's the expansion part. And most marketing organizations don't spend time on this. Most systems are not designed for this, right? It's not to say that there's going to be a marketing system that will do all of these things, but really the marketing system needs to work with other systems, like the Zendesk, in order to be able to, like the Totango, in order to be able to get information to do the second half of this better. And so I'm going to spend a little bit of time about, the second part of that funnel, right? All from the time someone becomes a customer to making them an engaged customer and then making them an advocate and a fan. So let's talk a little bit about that. And if you guys have questions, feel free to interrupt me. Did you have a question? Or? No. Oh, okay.
I have a lot.
I'm sure we can talk at the end. Okay. So forget about the first part of the funnel. That's the part that I think you all know on the marketing side, right? We all do it. Let's talk about, sort of where things start and how the marketing organization can get involved in this. So when we talk about retention starting with activation and usage, and we've had a few things about, I think Ken mentioned activation, getting people to start using the product. That's tantamount to success. So at Acton, the way we look at it is that, well, we got to get people started, and we got to get them started with the product quickly. And we sort of look at this saying, we got to activate them, get them started. And it's a very short time cycle because remember, everyone's on a month-to-month contract. So everything is compressed. If we don't have people up and running in the first month, the chances are they'll probably cancel, right? So that's they'll debook or they'll churn or whatever, depending on how you want to account for it. And they have to activate and start using the product effectively. And all of these things have to happen in that short period of time. You have to get them started, you get them trained enough to use the product, and enough to be satisfied enough to go to the next month and the next month after that. So that's once a person becomes a customer. So now here comes the marketing part of it, right? How does a marketing organization get involved in that process? Now, all of you folks who are here who are customer success people, do you have time to do marketing? No, right? You've got fire drills going on all the time. There's issues that are happening. There's all sorts of escalations going on in a typical day in your life. Where the hell are you going to find the time to do marketing? right? And don't think about it as this is classical marketing. This is about communicating with your customers and what's the curriculum that you're going to put in place, right? You need to have a curriculum. And this is something that we realized early on. We said, okay, listen, our head of customer success is a gentleman by the name of Troy Strahl. Troy ran customer success over at WebEx before he joined us. This is not Troy's problem. I mean, Troy can't be the only guy holding the bag on this. We have to jump in and work with him to basically put a whole set of things in place. So some simple things, and I'll talk about some of the campaigns that we end up doing. Well, we've made the decision that, so a couple of things. We're month to month, as I said, we essentially what we do as part of our onboarding is that we assign a customer success manager to every single account. Now, of course, they're not dedicated to one account. They have, some customer success managers have 50 to 100 accounts that they're dealing with or more. But we do that as part of the whole onboarding process. And we say, okay, you know what? This is what they're going to do. And then the moment someone signs a contract, we've got a timer that goes. Within 48 hours, there needs to be the first 24 hours, there needs to be that outbound contact. And within the first week, there needs to be a direct interaction between them. And so we have these trigger campaigns that go on within the system that says, how have we done here? Because it's not just the customer success manager's time, it's also the customer's time. Have they engaged? Have they responded? The first email was sent, there was a call up. Have they been able to schedule? If something is not on the calendar in the first week, well, guess what? There's an automated trigger campaign that goes out that says, you haven't connected with us. What can we do? So there's a whole curriculum that the marketing team has put together that automatically kicks in the moment someone signs up as a customer. And it's really important because, the situation with email volumes and all that these days, sometimes it takes 3 emails to get a response. And you have to be really on top of this to be able to do that. As I said, we like to get a personal contact with the person within the first week. Because that personal contact is basically what's going to get them started. So we have this concept, and some of us came from the programming world, and how many people have heard of this Hello World application? You heard of Hello World? Okay, so this is our version of Hello World, right? Here's what the situation. Our customer service managers have to get the customer to be able to write their first Hello World program, which basically means they need to send out one campaign. One campaign to get started. Because the inertia of going from rest to motion is very high. That's an old physics thing, right? Second law of physics. Now, but once you get into motion, it's great. So that's one of Newton's laws. So we sort of use that in our world. So let me see, is that my next? Yeah. So kind of like what happens is that we go through this process, we get a person started, and then we get him started with the application. And so this Hello World program in our world is we're marketing automation. So we have 2 simple things that we try to get customers to do. Everyone knows how to do email. Can they send out an email campaign? Most of the customers who come to a marketing automation system, half of them typically come from a traditional email environment. They're using Constant Contact or Exact Target or something, and they want to do more. So they're familiar with email. So our whole thing is that we've got a whole bunch of curriculums, a whole bunch of templates that we have that are well-established templates that, if you were doing this type of campaign, here's what you do, right? It could be invitation to an event, the usual things. The second one is website tracking. 2 simple things. The website tracking is something that we provide in our product, and it's up there on the screen. It says, website visitors. Essentially, we basically put a tracking beacon, get the customer to put a tracking beacon on their website, which ties into Acton. And from then on, we basically see who's visiting your website. And they can, on the dashboard, they can see who's visiting their website. So we do reverse IP lookup and so on. And we load in, as we start tagging the folks who start coming to the website, and they're in the contact list, then you can see all the people you're already in contact with who are coming back to your website. So you've got the known visitors, and you've got the unknown visitors. And the unknown visitors are the ones that we do a reverse IP lookup for and say, you know what, Guy from Totango visited the website. So I'm saying, oh, Guy's the CEO of Totango. I'm going to contact Guy and find out if he's looking for a marketing automation solution. remember, we're selling to small and mid-sized businesses, right? Those are our two sort of like starting points. So I would sort of like think, I'm just giving you an example of how we use the system and how we work with our customer success organization to basically use the system to be successful. I would encourage all of you to think of, in your own context, what is that? What is those Hello World programs for you folks that you can start off with, right? The other thing is big for us is the product itself. And I think Sam mentioned this in the context of Zendesk, and it applies to us also. The product is our biggest marketer for our existing customers. And we're not doing the best thing. In fact, I was on a call this morning with the customer, and he was saying, you see that little circle down there that says, it talks about resources, act on resources. You click on that, and you actually go to our Zendesk portal, where you can find out a lot of things. But just this morning, a customer says, you know what, you guys have been very nice about certain things, but you're not doing something else for me. The most valuable thing I find on your desktop, besides the standard things that I do, is the what's new. Because every 2 to 3 weeks, we do a new release, and we put out some new functionality. It's really hard to keep up with that, right? I think Ken was mentioning some company that does 100 releases or something. I don't know how they do that. We do maybe one every 3 weeks, and customers can't keep up with that. So the what's new section is very heavily clicked. Very heavily clicked. So we sort of meter the system, and we're seeing what's happening there. This is the biggest marketing section for us, right there. I get more eyeballs there than I get on our website. I mean, people don't come to our website. I mean, prospects come, but customers don't usually come to our website. They go into the product. So our challenge is always like, how do we do more things in there? So for those of you who can't read at the back, the resources that we have obviously are, we've got the ability to file a trouble ticket, to query the knowledge base, to read about what's new in the product, and we have something called Act On University. That's all in there. Those are all systems, they're all areas where, as a marketer, we try to reach out to the customer and try to find out more about them. Now, we're not doing it as well. And when we implement Totango, I think we'll do even better, because we'll get much better analytics about what our customers are doing so that we can tailor the message to them. Right now, it's an offline process. We sort of do it as part of an email campaign or something of that sort, which we basically send out to people after we've done the analysis of their particular account. Okay. So this is sort of the metrics that we gauge today. I'll just give you some idea of some of the things. I talked about the setup and training time. That's something that is really important, because we talked about churn earlier in the day. That's a direct driver of how quickly, whether a customer is going to stay or not. Right? How much use are they making of the online assistance that we have? And we really look at this, and we collect all that data, but in the product, we don't do a great job of reporting it, so we have to do it offline. So we have to actually get the data and then report on it. The product itself doesn't report on the actual usage. We spend a lot of time reporting on the success of your marketing campaigns. We don't necessarily report as well on the usage of that. That's another area that we collect a lot of that data, and we end up manually doing that, and we're going to automate that pretty soon, right? Interactions with customer service. This is a big area, obviously. It's and that's something also that we spend a lot of time on, and much lesser to a much lesser extent interaction with sales. And the reason for that is, really, as an online service, our experience has been that the amount of interaction they have with our customer success team is, after they become a customer, is probably 3 to 4x that they have with the sales organization. So, but it's something that we also look at very carefully. So now that's the part of sort of getting customers started, getting them to a point where they're engaged, right? That's the first thing. So we do a bunch of things, a series of campaigns that we've created in order to try to get that engagement level up. And if we do that correctly, in the Ken Rutsky world, we've established value. And if we're looking at sort of how do we go through that value creation. Now we're at the next level, which is, okay, they've seen some value with us, they're a satisfied customer, how do we make them into an advocate and a fan? And we started spending quite a bit of time on this. So as a marketer, one of the things I look at is that, as a small company, I have sort of 3 initiatives, right? How do I get thought leadership for our company? How do I keep the pipeline going? That's the leads. How do I get new business for the company? And then how do I get leverage for the company, right? How do we get leverage? And for all of you who are CSMs in this world, in this room, you are part of that leverage equation. Every marketer in the company, in your company, should be thinking about how do you leverage your customers. If they're not thinking about that, they're missing out a big opportunity. So, it's not, I put out here that, you have to have satisfied customers, obviously. Customer loyalty is not a marketing program. Customer loyalty is a company program, right? Everyone has to be involved, and that's the way we try to do it at Acton. And it has to be always on. It's not like something that you do episodically, right? It's not like you run your NPS survey and you look at who your promoters are, your detractors. I think that's important to do once in 6 months or whatever, but that's not enough, right? And so, so what we've done is we've actually done some work with another company, Influitive, and we've really built a program called A-Love. And this is the Acton Love program. That's how we got started. I think Julie from Influitive is somewhere in the audience. And we've really had a fair amount of success with this. So what we're trying to do is building community, right? Nothing new, but building community with multiple facets to it. So all the typical things that you want in a community, right? People sharing ideas with each other, knowledge-based sharing, all of that type of stuff that you'd expect in a community. A lot of this stuff happens online. And in today's world, you can't, it may happen on Zendesk because people vote on features and they like other people's votes, and so there's collection of information there, but it's also happening on LinkedIn. Right? We have a marketing masters group on LinkedIn, and there's a lot of traffic and dialogue going on there. So as a marketer, you have to look at corralling all of these different places, because the customers are probably going to spend time on the specific location that you've told them, but they're also going to be spending time on the public social internet. So you have to look at all those multiple form factors, and we do that, and we try to collate all of that. And then we have an advocacy program that provides a framework for this. So that's what we use Influitive for. We have challenges, we have rewards, and so on and so forth. So we encourage people to give us feedback as part of the Influitive program. So I've got probably a couple of minutes left, and what I'm going to talk about is some results. What have we seen so far? Right? Our community, our community of Acton users are the biggest source of input to the company today, right? In terms of new ideas, areas to take our product, etc. They're also our biggest advocates. And I think I had a screen here. This is the Influitive dashboard, and you can see there, when this was taken, we've got 448, so we got 1,400 customers, we got 448 people who've taken a challenge, right? A specific challenge of doing something. Give us feedback, fill out a survey, do something or the other. Encouraging their participation. And in the last month, we've got, I think it's the last 30 days, we've got 86 active advocates who are doing something. Now, people don't advocate every day. They come and they go, they have got something, they do it. But it's a great way of measuring this, because I can look at a customer now and I can say how active they are. And then, of course, the results. I mean, if you go to our app, you go to appexchange.com, the Salesforce site, and you look at the reviews, right? You'll find Acton has great reviews. And some of it is because, hey, folks are, they're actively engaged. And they're saying the good and the bad. I mean, they also talk about negatives. And we encourage that. From a business standpoint, we're a young company. Remember, I've seen so much growth. We've grown. Last 2 years have been our biggest growth years. We're seeing right now about 15 to 20 referral deals per quarter. That is referrals coming from other customers. Now, it's true that this is still a small fraction of the deals we do. We did over 300 transactions, 300 new deals last quarter. But even then, I mean, we want to get to 10% of the deals. But in terms of upsells, we're seeing 20 to 30% of our bookings coming from upsells, right? But which one comes back to the customer success team and how well they're doing. Because I think Michael talked about how the customer success team needs to be really tied in closely with the revenue generation of the accounts. And so we measure this very carefully. We see how our upsells are going, what are the reasons for that, and so on. So just a day in the life of a small company that's growing rapidly, looking at a SaaS company. I thought I'll share some of this with you. And I have, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them. So that's what we are, Hope for Marketing Underdogs.